The moment I felt my spine crack against the stairs, I knew life would never be the same. Time slowed as I tumbled down 2 flights, my older brother Marcus's enraged face disappearing from view above me. The last thing I heard before darkness took over was his cold voice. "That'll teach you to interfere." I'm Daniel, 25, and until that day, I'd spent my life trying to protect my brother's victims while our wealthy family covered up his violent outbursts. This time, I'd caught him attacking his girlfriend in our family mansion. I'd intervened, and he'd snapped. I woke up in the ICU, the steady beep of monitors my only company. I couldn't feel my legs. Panic set in as I tried to move, but everything below my waist remained stubbornly still. The pain in my upper body was excruciating, but the numbness below was terrifying. Dad arrived first, his expensive suit immaculate as always. Instead of asking how I was, he pulled out his checkbook. "Name your price, son. We'll call it an unfortunate fall. The family can't handle another scandal." I stared at him through morphine-hazed eyes. Another scandal. Like when Marcus put his last girlfriend in the hospital and you paid her family to move away. Or when he broke his college roommate's jaw and you bought the university a new library wing to bury the incident. Dad's face hardened. "You're upset. I understand. But think about your brother's future. One mistake shouldn't ruin his life." One mistake. My laugh came out as a painful wheeze. He threw me down 2 flights of stairs because I stopped him from beating Sarah. This isn't his first mistake, and you know it. Before Dad could respond, Dr. Wong, the neurosurgeon, entered with a tablet showing my MRI scans. Her face was grave as she studied the images. "Mr. Harrison," she addressed my father, "these scans show severe trauma to the thoracic spine. The pattern of injury is consistent with someone being forcefully thrown downstairs, not an accidental fall." Dad's checkbook appeared again. "Doctor, perhaps we could discuss this privately." Dr. Wong's expression turned to steel. "Mr. Harrison, are you attempting to bribe me to alter medical records?" "Of course not," Dad backpedaled smoothly. "I'm simply concerned about my son's privacy. Family matters should stay private." "Assault isn't a private family matter," Dr. Wong stated firmly. "These injuries are severe and deliberately inflicted. I've already notified the police." Dad's face turned red. "Daniel, think carefully about your next words. Our family name, your trust fund, everything depends on handling this discreetly." I looked at my useless legs under the hospital blanket. Years of protecting Marcus, of watching Dad clean up his messes with money and influence, flashed through my mind. How many victims had stayed silent because of our family's power? How many more would there be? "I want to press charges," I said, my voice stronger than I expected. "Marcus needs to face consequences this time." Dad's expression turned cold. "Then you're no longer my son. Don't expect any support for your medical bills or rehabilitation." He stormed out, leaving me alone with Dr. Wong, who immediately began explaining my injuries. "Your spine was severely traumatized, but with surgery and intensive rehabilitation, it may regain some function. It's crucial we operate soon." The police arrived that afternoon. Detective Rivera took my statement, photographed my injuries, and recorded everything with professional efficiency. "Your brother has a history," she said, reviewing her tablet. "Multiple complaints filed, all mysteriously dropped. But this time we have clear medical evidence. Sarah, Marcus's girlfriend, sneaked in to see me that evening. Her face was bruised, but her eyes were determined. "I'll testify," she whispered. "Your brother needs to be stopped. I'm so sorry you got hurt protecting me." The next morning, Marcus was arrested at our family's mansion. Dad's high-priced lawyers descended on the hospital, pressuring me to recant my statement. Mom called, crying about family loyalty and begging me to fix this mess. But the MRI didn't lie. The scans showed the brutal truth: compression fractures, displaced vertebrae, and severe spinal cord trauma. Dr. Wong's detailed reports documented everything, creating an irrefutable record of Marcus's violence. As I lay in that hospital bed, unable to move my legs, I thought about all the times I'd helped cover up Marcus's incidents. How many people had suffered because our family's wealth and influence had protected him from consequences? Dr. Wong scheduled emergency surgery for the following morning. "The operation is risky," she explained, "but without it, you'll definitely never walk again. With it, you have a chance." That night, alone in my hospital room, I made a decision. No more covering up, no more silence. No more protecting the family name at the expense of justice. Whatever happened with my spine, whatever mobility I might or might not regain, I would make sure Marcus finally faced the consequences of his actions. As nurses prepped me for surgery the next morning, Detective Rivera appeared with news. 3 more victims have come forward, she said. Your brother's day of reckoning has arrived. They wheeled me toward the operating room, my future uncertain but my conscience, for the first time in years, completely clear. The surgery lasted 11 hours. When I finally emerged from anesthesia, Dr. Wong was there, looking tired but satisfied. We successfully stabilized your spine and decompressed the spinal cord. Now we wait and work. My hospital room became a battlefield of sorts. Dad's lawyers arrived with documents, settlement offers, non-disclosure agreements, and papers to retract my police statement. Each time, Dr. Wong kicked them out, citing my need for rest and recovery. Marcus was denied bail due to his history of violence and the severity of my injuries. The prosecutors discovered a pattern spanning years: assaults, harassments, and violence covered up by our family's money and influence. One afternoon, Mom slipped into my room while I was doing my first attempts at physical therapy. She watched as I struggled with simple arm exercises, my legs still unresponsive. Your brother's in jail because of you, she said softly. He's sleeping on a concrete bed while you're destroying our family's reputation. The physical therapist, Jake, paused our session. Mrs. Harrison, if you're here to distress my patient, I'll have to ask you to leave. I met my mother's eyes. Marcus put himself in jail, Mom. I'm just done helping him hide who he really is. She left in tears, her expensive heels clicking down the hospital corridor. Jake resumed our exercises, his face sympathetic but professional. Family's complicated, he said, but right now, your only job is to focus on healing. 3 weeks after surgery, I experienced the first flicker of sensation in my toes. Dr. Wong called it a promising sign, though she cautioned against excessive optimism. Spinal cord recovery is unpredictable, she explained. We'll take every small victory. Sarah visited regularly, bringing updates about the case. More victims had come forward. A total of 7 people Marcus had assaulted over the years. Each story followed the same pattern. Violence followed by our family's money silencing the victims. Your parents tried to contact me, she said during one visit. Offer me enough money to start a new life somewhere else. I told them I'd rather see justice served. The district attorney built a strong case. Between my medical evidence, Sarah's testimony, and the other victims coming forward, Marcus's history of violence was finally exposed. Our family's name appeared in newspapers, but not in the society pages this time. Dad made one final attempt to stop me from testifying. He appeared in my room late one evening, looking older than I'd ever seen him. I've got a deal for you, he said, placing a document on my bed. Full medical coverage, a house of your own, and a lifetime trust fund. All you have to do is tell the court you don't remember what happened. I looked at the papers, then at my legs, where feeling was slowly, painfully returning. How many times have you done this, Dad? How many people has Marcus hurt while you cleaned up after him? I was protecting our family, he insisted. No, I countered, you were protecting Marcus while he destroyed lives, including mine. Physical therapy became my sanctuary. Jake pushed me hard, celebrating every tiny improvement. Sensation gradually returned to my legs, though movement was still minimal. The pain was constant, but it meant my nerve pathways were alive, fighting to recover. Detective Rivera brought news that changed everything. We found Marcus's old phones, she said. He recorded his attacks. Kept them like trophies. Your fall was on there too. The video showed everything. My attempt to protect Sarah, Marcus's rage, and the deliberate way he threw me down those stairs. The prosecution now had irrefutable evidence of attempted murder. Dr. Wong continued to be my strongest advocate, fighting with insurance companies and documenting every aspect of my recovery for the court. Your healing journey is evidence, she explained. Every surgery, every therapy session, every small gain shows the impact of what was done to you. 6 weeks after surgery, I moved my left leg for the first time. It was just a small twitch, but Jake whooped like we'd won an Olympic medal. This is just the beginning, he promised, already adjusting my therapy plan. Sarah brought unexpected news that evening. Your Aunt Caroline is back. She says she left years ago because of Marcus's violence and your parents' cover-ups. She wants to help. Aunt Caroline had disappeared from our lives when I was 15, shortly after Marcus had one of his incidents. I always wondered why she cut contact. Now I knew. She arrived the next day, taking one look at my medical setup before declaring, "You're coming to live with me during recovery. I've already hired the best physical therapy team." For the first time since my fall, I felt tears escape. Someone from my family was finally choosing to protect the victim instead of the abuser. As spring turned to summer, I learned to navigate my new reality. My legs were slowly regaining function, but doctors said I might need a cane permanently. But watching Marcus finally face consequences, seeing our parents' protection shattered, made every painful step worth it. The preliminary hearing was approaching, and my testimony would be crucial. But this time, no amount of money could buy my silence. The MRI scans had revealed more than just my broken spine. They'd exposed the cracks in our family's facade of perfection. The courthouse wasn't wheelchair accessible through the main entrance, a detail that seemed ironically fitting as I was wheeled up the ramp at the side door. After months of therapy, I could walk short distances with a walker. But today's testimony would be too long to manage without the chair. Marcus sat at the defense table, wearing an expensive suit that couldn't hide his prison pallor. Our parents flanked him like protective shields, but their usual confident facades showed cracks. The video evidence had shattered their ability to spin this as a family misunderstanding. Aunt Caroline squeezed my shoulder as I was sworn in. The prosecutor, Ms. Chen, approached with the MRI scans. "Can you describe what happened the day your brother did this to you?" I looked directly at Marcus as I testified. I heard Sarah screaming. When I found them, he was attacking her. I intervened and he grabbed me. The security video shows the rest. They played the footage. The courtroom fell silent as they watched Marcus throw me down the stairs, the sickening thud of my body hitting each step. Several jurors winced. Mom looked away. Dad stared straight ahead, his jaw clenched. "After your fall," Ms. Chen continued, "what did your father do?" "He offered me money to stay quiet. He'd done it before, for Marcus's other victims. It was our family's solution to everything. Pay people off, protect the family name." Marcus's lawyer tried to paint me as a jealous brother seeking revenge, but the evidence was overwhelming. 7 victims testified about their attacks. Sarah described the assault that led to my intervention. Medical experts, including Dr. Wong, detailed the deliberate nature of my injuries. The jury took only 6 hours to reach a verdict. Guilty on all counts, including attempted murder. Marcus showed no emotion as the judge sentenced him to 20 years. Mom collapsed in tears. Dad approached me outside the courtroom, his face ashen. "Are you happy now? Your brother's life is ruined." "He ruined his own life," I replied, and nearly ended mine. The difference is, I chose to stop the cycle. Rehabilitation continued at Aunt Caroline's house. The therapy pool she'd installed became my sanctuary. In water, my legs remembered their strength more easily. Jake, who'd insisted on remaining my physical therapist, called it my comeback pool. 6 months after the trial, I took my first unassisted steps. They were wobbly, and I still needed the walker for longer distances, but they were mine. Sarah, who'd become a close friend, recorded the moment. "Sending this to Marcus," she said with satisfaction. "Let him see what survival looks like." Dr. Wong continued monitoring my progress, though now as both doctor and friend. "Your spine is healing remarkably well," she said during a checkup. "But more importantly, you're healing inside." She was right. Standing up to my family had straightened more than just my spine. The constant guilt of staying silent, of watching Marcus hurt people while our parents covered it up, had been a different kind of paralysis. Aunt Caroline helped me start a foundation for survivors of family violence, focusing especially on cases where wealth and influence had silenced victims. We offered legal support, medical care, and most importantly, a community that understood. Sarah became our first success story, completing her law degree with the foundation's support. "I'm going to help other victims fight back," she declared at her graduation. No more silence. 1 year after the trial, I received a letter from Marcus in prison. "I had time to think," he wrote. "I don't expect forgiveness, but I want you to know I understand now. What I did, what our parents enabled, it was wrong. All of it." I showed the letter to my therapist, who'd helped me process the complex emotions of betraying family loyalty for the greater good. "Do you believe him?" she asked. I believe he's finally facing himself, I replied. That's a start. Mom started sending tentative messages through Aunt Caroline. She was in therapy too, finally confronting her role in enabling Marcus's violence. Dad remained distant, his pride unable to accept the public exposure of our family's darker truth. Walking remained challenging. Some days, the pain and weakness in my legs reminded me viscerally of that fall. But each step, each moment of standing on my own, felt like victory. During a foundation event, a young woman approached me. Your story gave me courage, she said. I testified against my abusive family last month. They had money too, thought they could buy silence. How did it feel? I asked. Like learning to walk again, she smiled. Scary but freeing. I understood perfectly. My spine would never be the same. The MRI scans showed permanent damage. But they also showed something else. The moment I chose truth over family loyalty, justice over money, healing over silence. Standing at the podium later that evening, supported by a sleek black cane, I surveyed the room full of survivors and allies. Sometimes, I told them, breaking your silence means breaking other things too. Family bonds, social expectations, the walls of protection built by wealth and influence. But in that breaking, we find our strength. In that truth, we find our healing. The scars on my spine marked more than just physical trauma. They mapped a journey from complicity to courage, from silence to truth. Every step I took, however unsteady, carried me further from the person who had helped hide family violence and closer to the one who finally stood against it.